Hey Vinny, hey Dave, how you guys doing?
Doing
Hey, I'm
good.
doing
You?
all right. Yeah.
So that means both you guys are doing okay. So,
Yeah.
so in unison.
Yeah, doing good, doing great.
Well, Dave, you doing good too?
Absolutely.
I tell you what, this not being able to hear myself in my headset, I got to figure this out, guys. It's killing me.
Go
So
to the one earpiece like I do.
go to the one earpiece. That's probably a really good idea, actually. Well, hey everyone, my name is Jim Gast, and this is Vinny and Dave, or DJ. Sorry, Dave. I'm so used to calling him Dave,
That's
and we
just
like to call.
fine.
We're trying to call him DJ for his benefit. Um, and we are No Law Firm Left Behind. This is No Law Firm Left Behind, actually. And so I'm trying to make sure we're live on YouTube. Can you guys see us on Facebook or LinkedIn? I think we're good. So here we are this week, and we're going to change a little bit of gears and talk about not the election. I want nothing mentioned about the election. The only word about that should have been just the word I just mentioned. Okay. Because I am just inundated with this stuff about the election today. I'm on overload. Are you guys the same way? You're just kind of done with it?
Yeah, I've pretty much ignored it.
Vote. That's all I got to say. Vote. And let's go on with it. Anyway, No Law Firm Left Behind is here because we're trying to help law firms be more competitive, keep their staff and their attorneys productive and efficient, and help you get more clients. That's why we're here. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Today's topic is 5 ways attorneys must pivot to compete now and beyond. This is essentially, Dave and Vinny, this is a conversation about what lawyers must do in response to the new norm. Does that make sense? There's a new norm for consumers in every industry, but in legal consumers as well. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
On some level, the industry's been changed by recent events.
Yeah. To say the least, right?
Yeah, and people have new expectations on how we should do things. I mean, in every industry, not just for lawyers, but in every industry.
Yeah, and I mean, a big part of it is that, so many industries were affected recently that consumers are seeing, well, this industry offers me the ability to do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
You should be able to do that too.
It's almost like cross-pollination in a sense.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm just going to say it as simple as I can. This is what I believe. I believe that COVID, horrible, right? I mean, that's horrible. Lots of people dying, lots of people sick. It's a horrible thing. It needs to go away. I hate wearing masks. Everybody hates wearing masks. No one likes this. Okay. But I will say for me, it was, lockdown and quarantine as I was and being able to work from home like I do. I enjoyed the time with my kids, the extra quality time, right? And it's my opinion that we're spoiled now. I mean, we are absolutely spoiled. You guys think?
Yeah, as consumers, for sure, we have been, those out there that are offering their services, retailers and such, they're definitely making a lot of adjustments for us in order to so that they can stay open or so they can still continue to serve us even during lockdowns and such.
Adapt and overcome.
But it absolutely has shifted to a consumer-focused power shift.
Yeah,
for lack of a better word. I mean, it's sort of like now, if you don't provide a more convenient experience to the consumer, they're just going to go to someone else that can provide that convenience.
Mm-hmm.
I got a really good example of this that only changed in recent history. Do you guys remember? I don't know, maybe it was 10 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, when you would go to the drive-through, you couldn't use your credit card or debit card. You had to pay cash still. They couldn't accept credit. Oh, you don't remember that?
Of course I do, yeah.
Oh, so you're killing me here. I know I'm a little older than you guys, but no, think about that. And then once one of the places started accepting them, all the places had to start accepting them because that's just the way it was, right? Mm-hmm. So if you were McDonald's and you didn't take a debit card, guess what? You were losing out to Wendy's and Burger King because it's so much more convenient. That's kind of back when we felt, at least I did, I felt guilty using my debit card or credit card to buy a Mountain Dew at a UDF, a Stop and Go or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
UDF's a local Stop and Go. But so it's like that now, in that, in my opinion, the consumer has put, and because of the situation, the consumer has forced businesses in general to adapt, whether they like it or not, and fast. Because
Mm-hmm.
I remember that debit card thing. It took a good year and a half, maybe 2 years to really catch on to the point at which everybody was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just like that for law firms. And so I think it's important that we help law firms analyze what it is that they need to do to shift to the consumer based market. Right? We all thought we were consumer based, but not so much.
And we want to look at this from a from a client perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not only from a obviously this is for attorneys or for law firms, but we want to talk about it from a client expectation or from a client perspective.
Yeah, and there's a technology that goes with some of the stuff, right? There may be some security goes with this kind of stuff, but really, why do you have that? This is all about business. It's not about the tech. It's not about tech is for business. It's not for tech, right? It's not for fun. Security is for business. It's not for for fun. We don't just do these things just because. So I wanted to kind of go through maybe mini steps of some of the touch points, what I call client experience touch points. All right. In the journey of a client, finding a law firm, working with a law firm, and ultimately getting billed by a law firm and ongoing relationships with that law firm. So I think that's a good plan, guys. I'd like to start off by talking about finding a law firm, finding the lawyer that you're going to pick. That's a little different, especially since, well, that's kind of changed. That was a big change when the yellow pages went away. Don't you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a shift to finding lawyers online for a while now. There's been numerous industries, I shouldn't say industries, there's been numerous business models that have been developed to try and handle that shift from the phone book and the billboard to Google and the other attorney finding services.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been happening for a while. How does this change that or accelerate that? I think what it does is it simply, as we become more physically isolated, some of the most important new client development channels for lawyers, such as referrals, they've taken on a different feel. Okay. Yeah. So we don't have in-person conferences anymore. We don't have trade shows in person anymore. We don't have in-person CLEs or just any kind of in-person meetings are kind of just not there. So when we're trying to find an attorney, how are we communicating? How are we connecting with people to find that? Well, now people are asking for it on Facebook. Mm-hmm. People are asking for it via email or via a web conference or something like that. So how do lawyers in particular change their positioning? How do they change how they get in front of a prospect when so many of them have lived and died by the trade show and the word of mouth referrals and the conferences and this, that, and the other thing? So
being a part, sponsoring a softball team,
it's we're in so much more of a potential island if you're not leveraging online networking.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a huge change in my opinion.
Would you say that, Dave, Vinny, would you guys say that legal services has become, dare I say, scary, but I'm going to say it, more commoditized because there's so many lawyers out there competing for so much more business? Maybe the business amount hasn't changed as much, but the number of attorneys.
You know what? Yeah, I'm going to kind of disagree with you on that.
Yeah, that's okay.
But let me explain why. I almost feel like we're coming back away from the commoditization of legal services. Commoditization, at least in my opinion, is like we have so many of them that it's just sort of, I can go here, I can go here, I can go here. You know, I could buy this milk or this milk. It's just milk, right? The brand is maybe important on some level, but as long as I get my services. And we've seen this happening for a while because there are so many there are so many lawyers that have come out, and with technology and whatnot, the smaller firms have been able to compete with larger firms, and you've had a real leveling of the playing field there. I almost see what's happening now is sort of going away from that, because we've almost had, on some level, a commoditization of legal services. Think of all the, you know, non-lawyer provided legal services out there, for one. Think of the legal Zooms and this, that, and the other thing, okay? Now people are moving away from, their pendulum is swinging back, saying, all right, it's not just about getting the legal service now. Now I want it to be convenient. I want to like who I'm working with. I want to do this, that, and the other thing. So, in other words, I almost feel like it's moving away from commoditization and just basically saying now your strengths are different than just saying we have over 700 years of combined experience. People don't care. I mean,
and we're full service and all that stuff.
Just sort of like, hey, do I like working with you? Is this easy? Or is this a pain in my butt?
You said one word right there. Is it easy? I think that if you notice in all of the commercials that are on TV, like the pizza companies and all those other things, they're showing people in masks, a car drives up, it like, you know, they make a joke about the frisbee pizza to the window, it bounced out the window. But they're showing examples of how people are trying to find it easier to work with the pizza company. Do you think lawyers should be marketing heavily on it's easy to work with us? Yeah. We do Zoom, we do Teams, we do e-sign. Is that a competitive advantage?
I think it has to be. I think it's critical that people do that, and in this sort of consumer strong environment, if you are not making it easy to use your services and to work with you, your people just aren't going to do it. They're going to go somewhere else that it's easier to work.
So if I'm working with grandma in a retirement home and I can't go see her for a long time, okay, and I'm that attorney, I need to show how it's going to be easy for you as that person that needs help for your elderly parent or grandparent, right? How I can make it easy to work with you. Right. So that's what, you know. So from finding an attorney, that's going to be the way it is. You need to really leverage social media, the messaging.
And people still need the services of an attorney. You know, that need is not going away, right? They still need, and if you can't, as a law firm, if you can't adapt to serve them, to work around their restrictions or whatever it is, right, that they're facing, those the conveniences, even for some people, you know, they may look for someone that can.
Yeah, I think the big one on finding an attorney is the messaging that you're going to put out. If you're leveraging social media, if you don't have it on your website or you don't have it on social media, it's easy to work with us, and we can help you now in a touchless environment or whatever you want to call it, whatever your area of law dictates. If you're not using that messaging, they're going to go to the next person that does.
Right.
Agreed? Next topic.
I totally agree. I think that's probably the most important change that's come to the legal industry through all of this.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been a lot of change. Okay, but I think it's the fact that if attorneys don't refocus and make their services super simple to take advantage of, with a minimum of headache, with a minimum of you know, frustration. I don't want to. It's always been something that's been building. Okay, there's been we've worked with dozens and dozens of law firms throughout the years that you know, say, well, we moved out of our downtown office into a suburban office because our clients thought it was a giant pain in the butt to have to come downtown, find parking, walk, etc. It's so much. Well, this is just that next step in that evolution. Now the clients are like, well, I don't even want to have to come to you.
It's really becoming client-driven delivery, not attorney chooses the method.
Right.
You know,
What
yeah,
works for you? How can I meet you where you're at?
and that's kind of funny because it's not been that way in law. It's not like we don't care about our clients. I mean, I know we do. I see it every day, but to literally turn your business, literally pivot it to get them to move out of downtown. We're not in downtown. We're not in the Ivory Tower, Golden Towers anymore. We're in a small office building on a rural route somewhere, because that's where our clients are and they don't want to drive. It's not my choice as that attorney, although it is. It's your choice to either go downtown and inconvenience them still, or go to the urban or rural area. I'm saying rural areas and suburban areas, and be closer to them. So, what about consults? I mean, when somebody's consulting, right? I think we're on the same page with this. What are our clients' expectations when it comes to that initial consult, that initial conversation with an attorney?
I think they're probably, I mean, for me, I'm probably looking for flexibility, and I'm going to step out of the law firm for a second, right, and say, I've been recently shopping for some insurance, and not to have to go somewhere to do that, to just be able to meet somebody on through Zoom or through Teams or whatever service that they use, right? Just to have that initial conversation on what I want was good. And so the same for law firms. As folks are looking for someone, they want to have that flexibility to have a quick conversation, make sure it's a fit, make sure, hey, is this going to work? Before they say, okay, I'm going to head downtown, or I'm going to head to another place, or they want that flexibility to meet in different ways.
I think it's my opinion, and I've thought of this for a long time. This is mostly where people are making those initial contacts, right? And unless you're sitting at the office and you're working in an office, or sitting at home working on the computer, this is probably, I'm just going to throw a number, 75% of the initial engagements coming from something like this, right? And so, what about if I hit Google and I find an attorney, or I get a referral from somebody on Facebook, do you think when I hit that website, you should think I should have an initial, hey, thanks for coming to the website, somebody's here ready to talk to you, chat function pop up?
So, okay, that's a double-edged sword there. Okay. If you have the ability to make sure that you're going to respond when somebody does, I think that's great.
Yeah.
But you can't put that out there if you're not ready to do it, if you're not ready to execute it. I've been to a lot of websites. It's really easy to put a chat bot feature on a website,
especially from like a Facebook that everybody's connected to.
Oh, it takes minutes, and you can have a chat bot added to your website.
Now, I'm not talking about chat bots so much. I mean, that's the initial, right? But
any of them. You can add the function, you can add the channel, but you better have somebody responding to it.
Yeah.
If you say, get me right now, you better be gotten.
Yeah, but Dave, I mean, don't you? Okay, so you're right. It's a double-edged sword. Okay, but if I have a chat bot that works 8 to 5 when people are searching, or 8 to 8 when people are searching, but not 9 to 8, 7:30 in the morning, right? 9 at night, 7:30 in the morning. Isn't that better than not having and have an automated chatbot? We're not in right now, but we know that you're looking from assistance. We'll be here first thing in the morning, or just be ready to take it on your phone at any time. Isn't that better than not having it at all?
So it's basically, that's the web-based version of voicemail.
That is.
I mean, that's all it is. There's nothing particularly wonderful about it. I mean, it's great. And what I think is great about it is it's another channel. So I will tell you, people don't want to pick up the phone and call people anymore.
No, they don't.
Okay?
No, they don't.
Except if you're me, because I'm old school.
Yeah. I mean, I'm one of them. I generally, unless I've got an incredibly complicated topic to talk about, I don't do phone calls. I just don't do them. Everything for me is done through a chat or a text. Like 95% of my communication.
So get this. So I have a 19-year-old son up in college, right? And my 14-year-old daughter, all right? I have also a 17-year-old son, but I'm talking about the two of those. My 14-year-old daughter yesterday, I picked her from cheerleading. And this is a similar thing that happened yesterday with both of those two kids. I picked her from cheerleading, and I called her to let her know that I was there. And she said, "Why are you calling me?" I'm like, to let you know that I'm here. Nobody calls anymore, Dad. Everybody FaceTimes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but let me finish that. And so that's a 14-year-old. Okay. That's a teenager, young teenager. Now, 19-year-old in college, freshman in college, that's getting ready to get into the workforce in a couple of years. He said the exact same thing when I called him yesterday. What are you calling me for? Nobody calls anymore, Dad. Everybody FaceTimes. By the way, 2 years ago, I got in trouble for FaceTiming everybody in my family instead of calling them. That's how quickly that's changed. All right. So the website, face from the website immediately. I want to see your face from the website. What do you think?
So I'm going to come back to that, but I don't want to forget something else. Okay? Because you just illustrated exactly what I mean when I say you have to meet people where they're at. You have to have multiple channels, because there are still people like Jim and Vinny in the world that do want to pick up a phone and talk to somebody. So you better have a phone number, and you better have someone answering it for those folks. And if you do get a voicemail, you better be monitoring it and responding to it. But then you have this whole other group of people who they want things to be visual. They want to see your face. They want to be able to connect with you and pull you up on a FaceTime style meeting. You have to be able to provide that too, or you lose that group. Now, if you don't want to serve that group, fine. If you don't want to serve
your choice.
That picks up the phone, fine. It's just like niching in any other way. But anymore, you almost have to define a portion of your niche based on how your clients find you and how they want to work with you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a whole new kind of niche that we didn't think about before, because lawyers in generally said, call me or fill out a contact me form on my website.
Yeah.
Boom. Those are your options. That's kind of what it was across the board.
Yeah.
Now, for the group that wants the phone calls, they can call we still do phone call lawyers. And for the ones that want to do, I want, like Jim, what you're saying, and like I said, I want to come back to this, for those people that want to say, I need a face, I need a live person that I can just get on a camera with and talk to right out of the gate. Well, if you are trying to appeal to that client base, then you need to make sure you've got that technology in place.
I think it's important.
That's what you're saying a little bit.
Yeah, it does. And I think, and Vinny, I'm going to ask you on this. I think that this is kind of what we're talking about today, Dave. Exactly what we're talking about is those touch points, right? Mm-hmm. I've always thought, Vinny, that it's important to lower the barriers to work with you, okay? But if we don't analyze the barriers, then we don't know which ones we want to remove. If I don't like FaceTime as an attorney, I don't have to do it. But if I don't realize that there are two different customers out there, ones that like to just make a phone call or fill out a form, and other ones that like to chat or maybe have a video conference on demand immediately, even before I picked you, then I'm not making a conscious decision that I want to do that or not. That's what you need to do, I think.
Yeah, and it's really about, I think one of you said flexibility to all the different client types. Mm-hmm. And to make sure that we are meeting their needs, because the clients are changing. My wife doesn't call me unless it's something important. So, because she doesn't like to talk on the phone, and so when I see that phone call coming in, I know it's important, because she normally doesn't call, and so the way people do things, and even more now, as they're trying to do. Multiple things. People are trying to manage kids' school training, remote learning, and they're trying to do a job, and they're trying to keep up with an attorney and whoever it is, and they don't have time for that. Mm-hmm, and they want the convenience. Not every school system is doing remote learning, but many are still.
Well, they're still sending the kids home for quarantine and doing remote learning in a lot of situations.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, are you ready for that kind of thing is really,
Mm-hmm.
really the key.
And you have to analyze it. You have to analyze it. So, all right. When's the last time either one of you guys have ever texted with a doctor?
I message my doctor all the time. I don't even call.
Yeah.
So I log into my chart through the network, right?
No.
And I have the ability. I have the ability, not text. No.
Okay.
Not text. But I have the ability. I just send him a message, say, "Hey, I have this. What should I do?" And he sends me a message back and says, "Come in." Or it's not email. It's just a messaging system. It's just a secure messaging system, right? Instead of text. And so he sends me either come in or, hey, I can probably prescribe this if you don't want to come in, that kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't do it often, but that's the simplest way to get a hold of the doctor. I don't like calling being on hold and waiting and just send a quick message and he answers when he has availability.
Yep.
How many lawyers do you think actually work that way? That actually have, right. And I said doctors, right? Because I actually have that. My doctor's office has a method for texting, actually, and theirs has to be super secure. There's nothing, everything's got to be super secure on their side, right? So if you text them, it needs to be secure. Lawyers are the same way. I am a big proponent of texting with our points of contacts and our customers, right? It's hard to text with end users. There's thousands of them, right? But for our business, I'm a big proponent of texting with our owners, right? And our points of contacts, right? I don't see many lawyers, unless you're in a solo practice, texting or giving away a number in which they can be reached within certain limits, right? And they have control over that, where they can be reached. Do you guys see that in law firms much?
No, I don't see it very often now.
Well, part of that probably is because they don't consider texting secure and private, and so they have no way of taking that data and moving it to a matter management, right? So the technology for them is not there. There are tools out there, by the way,
right?
But for them, they don't have the resources set yet where they can take all that information and put it somewhere central.
Now, let me just point something out here, Vinny. What you just said there. Let's set the security piece to the side for just a second.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole other discussion that really is not completely appropriate for today's show, even though we have to acknowledge that the security is always an issue. We're talking about, from a business perspective, from the consumer perspective, how do we stay competitive in the workplace, in the legal industry today? While the argument that, well, I can't put it into my central, case management system easily might have mattered before, it's my opinion that I don't care if that's a hassle for you.
As the client, you don't care.
I want to
spoiled.
You better let me. You better figure it out.
That's it.
That's just, my kind of thing. It's like the lawyer can, well, I don't take text messages because I can't put it in my case management system. I'm the client. I'm tough. You know what?
It's not my problem. Do you
out.
want me as a client or not? We used to say this about a particular software company, Vinny, and Dave, you'll remember this.
I know exactly what you're about to say. Yep.
Vinny, you may remember this or not. There was a particular software company that made software for lawyers, actually, that we work with. Their mentality was so backwards, okay? You were lucky that we make this software for you to use for your law firm. You were lucky that we have software for you to use for these. They treated you like that.
Vendors?
Oh no, this one was bad. It was like, no, I mean, I couldn't believe it. It was like, are you telling me that the client's not in control of how you do things? Oh no, not at all. No, they're lucky we make the software for them. You're not the only game in town, brother. And guess where they're at? They were up here, and Dave, they're pretty low on the totem pole now from a software perspective.
So I understand that the client expectation and even demand, right? But when I mentioned it's not there, I'm bringing to light that they have to figure out a way to do it. Right? They
You know
have to
what?
figure out a way to do it.
And you have to look at it and say, that's the pivot right now.
Right.
Everything you thought that, well, that's the way we have to do it. I said it yesterday. We had a meeting with our group yesterday, and I said it yesterday. Don't tell me how that it can't be done. Tell me how it can be done. Right.
Right.
Because the customer doesn't care. They don't care about, I don't have a receptionist at 12 to 1. They go to lunch. Sorry.
And that is, to kind of tie up what Vinny is saying and what you're saying, Jim. It's the idea that a year ago, it might have been acceptable to say, well, there are good like when you're sitting at the executive committee meeting, well, there are good reasons that we're not going to give out text as a communication channel. And everybody could be, oh yeah, we get that. Okay, fine.
We don't want people having our cell phone numbers. Nobody should be able to get our cell phone numbers.
Now, it's like, okay, fellas, gal, we got to figure this out because people want this, and if we don't provide it,
they're going.
It's going to be a problem. So now we got to make this happen.
Yep. Yeah,
and I think that's Vinny. I think that's the point you're really trying to make, is that the reality is, from the customer perspective, I want this. You better learn how to deliver it. You better make it a reality. Don't
figure it out.
It's not.
For innovation, you got to innovate, right? It's forcing everything. And on that particular topic, I know we're not talking exactly about tech today, but there's ways with voice over IP solutions. And if you don't have one, call us. We'll get you hooked up with it. But all of us have the ability to text with our office direct dial numbers. Okay. And so when I text, you get my direct dial at my office. It comes to my cell phone. I text you back. You get my direct dial. If I call you from my cell phone, you get my direct dial, not my cell phone. And I can turn that off within parameters and say, okay, I don't want to be available from, 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, which is another point, by the way, guys. What about just, I changed my perception on this at least a year ago. And I have a calendar link now at the bottom of my signature. Why? I don't want somebody to have to call me to get on my calendar. I don't tell people to use it, but I give that there. Schedule a meeting with me here. And I got it set up so that perpetually, Monday through Friday, from 8:30 till 6 o'clock at night, even through lunch, anybody can book time with me. All right, without any phone call, any correspondence, or anything like that. And I have it set up so that there are buffers in between so that, hey, if there's something that's 15 minutes after this or 15 minutes before, they can't get that time. That's not an available time. But I look at it like I need to be available for them during at least this period of time. It's the same thing with the voice over IP and, being available by phone or by text. I need to be available during those times. They're my customers. They're my clients. They're my potential clients. If I'm not, they're going to go to somebody else. The calendar, I think the calendar links are huge right now. That's another. And what's really nice is that many of the calendar links can actually create not only the calendar event, but also create as an option, can create a Teams or a Zoom meeting for you on the fly, okay? And set up the reminders, which is big. Talk about serving your client, sending them an email reminder from that, right? They got an email saying, "Hey, you got a booking. You got a meeting with me tomorrow. Hey, you got a meeting with me in an hour," and sending them text at the same time. Mm-hmm. Now you're really serving your customer and ensuring you've got business, because you're not going to miss them. The likelihood of missing that is a lot less than it used to be. That's a pivot, I think. Sorry, that was kind of a roll, guys. I was on a soapbox there for a minute because that's so important to me, But the way that's set up is the same way that we could set up text and voice over IP with our clients and not be infringed upon. So I think we beat it. Dave, you wanted to talk about billing. I think you had something on billing you wanted to.
And I don't want to belabor it. We're at about 35 minutes right now, but it goes. We started with talking about the beginning. How does somebody find you? All the way to the end. How does somebody pay you? And this is something that has changed a lot. Most lawyers now will accept some form of electronic payment. Most of them will take credit or debit or whatnot. But for the last several years, I have, in my practice at least, I've accepted PayPal, okay, which is a little bit more accepted. But the biggest one that threw me off, and it's more again with the younger client base that I work with in some of the like high tech areas. They want to pay with the Venmos and whatnot.
Yeah.
Zelly.
So,
Zelly or Venmo.
It was about 2 years ago. I had my first request, and it was a young guy, tech startup, and he goes, "Yeah, I do all my stuff through Venmo." I'm like, "All right, I've heard of this. I'll go get one of those."
Yeah.
And so it's we finished with a meeting, and he just take out his phone and and all right, cool, I got money now. It was great,
Yeah.
But now I have all these different accounts out there because this person wants to pay with Venmo, this person wants to do PayPal, this person still wants to send me a check, and so I got to do it. But guess what? I'm not going to say, well, no, I'm sorry, I only accept payment this way.
Wow.
So
Could you imagine?
I have all these different payment accounts and payment methods, and then it's on me to consolidate them all together on the back end. And I just do it because, again, it's about what makes it convenient and easy for the customer to do what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's even, you know what? That's a conversation about how to just make money, right?
Yeah.
If you can't do Venmo or what was the other one? Zelly? Is that what the other?
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them. Yeah. I think
Or PayPal. If you say no to those, you're almost kind of silly.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the rules in sales. I don't want to get paid. Yeah. No, you can keep it till tomorrow. Put it in here and I'll. No, it won't give you money that they don't have. Right, Dave?
Right.
So it's a guaranteed way to get paid now. Mm-hmm. Who would walk away from that?
And I will tell you, since I've adopted, and this is just, it's crazy. I would say over 90% of my clients pay me within 48 hours of receiving their invoices.
Yeah.
No
and
doubt.
Hopefully they got a link on the invoice, right? And
they get
it's
electronic. They go in, they click, boom, done. I don't have AR because I made it easy to pay me.
Yeah, and so we're going to end on coming full circle, okay? And this is what I'll end on. I think that I put on my kind of talking points today something called post matter. I'm done with you. I paid your bill. We don't have to engage anymore. Mm-hmm. But you have a responsibility as the attorney, as the business person, that if you're not perpetually trying to keep my attention in case I need you again, or in case somebody I know needs you again, this isn't new, all right?
Right.
You need to perpetually market to me somehow, right? And that brings us back to finding you again. Well, Mark Godby had a great last week when he talked about mailing a Christmas card, which is a conduit for the magnetic calendar that goes on a refrigerator. Well, there's thousands of ways to do that electronically as well. And so that you're hitting them on a perpetual cadence, by email or by text or by, whatever on Facebook. What's the big one now on Facebook? The retargeting, right? Facebook's a fantastic platform for retargeting, and it just runs over and over, and it's like virtually nothing cost-wise, right? So I think that we have a responsibility if we want to keep that client. We've always had this responsibility, but even now more than ever, there's other vehicles to keep their attention, right? Mm-hmm. And if you don't, guess what that client's going to do? They're going to start the whole cycle over again and find somebody else. Yeah. Find somebody that's easier to work with. Not that you weren't, but the bar keeps getting raised.
Yep.
Good topic, guys.
Good topic. So one of the important reasons we do this show is one of the pillars of No Law Firm Left Behind is keeping your customers calling, right? Mm-hmm. Keeping them coming in, and this is what today's show was really about: is reinforcing that pillar. That one of the reasons we started this group. And just keep that in mind as you want your customer. Obviously, you want your customers to keep calling. You want them to keep referring you. But in order to do that, as times change, you need to change with the times as well.
Yeah, I agree. Dave, I'm going to cover your face real quick.
Fair
So
enough.
we have a group on LinkedIn called No Law Firm Left Behind. It's a horrible URL. Please forgive us because LinkedIn doesn't allow for vanity URLs for groups. But all you have to do is go to LinkedIn and search for No Law Firm Left Behind, and request to join the group. If you're an attorney that just wants this kind of advice from us and from your peers, that's part of join the group and you'll get that information. Guys, I didn't tell you this, but we probably jumped 25 people in a matter of 2 weeks in the group, which is a pretty impressive jump for us. Also, we've got the YouTube channel, No Law Firm Left Behind on YouTube. That's where we keep all of these past shows and a whole bunch of other technology-based things and inspiration-based things and business tips. So hope you'll join us for that. We're here every week, 10:30 on Tuesday morning Eastern time, and we'll hope you'll join us for our show next week. We don't have a topic yet, but we'll get that out there to everyone. So I say, guys, it's a wrap.
All right.
Sounds good to me.
Take care.
Thanks,
Have a good day.
everyone. Take care, everyone.